Hi there. Thank you for joining me for this quick walkthrough of IBM's Planning Analytics. So my name is Bob Gill. I'm a principal architect with Clear Insight. We're a consultancy focused on solutions for the Office of Finance, mainly planning. We also help with data warehousing, reporting, BI, and consolidation. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. I've been doing BI for 15 years now across a number of industries, subject areas, and countries, and I like fun projects. So I'm going to start with a demo. Then we'll talk a little bit more about what planning analytics is once you've kind of a little bit of context. And then we'll go into another demo which is going to have a little bit more meat to it. And there's also a link here at the bottom for more information on the IBM website on planning analytics. So in this first demo, we're just going to log in. We're going to go through a couple of dashboards and we'll just review what we've done. So here we are in planning analytics. This is the welcome screen. Once you log in, this is what you'd see. In the trial version, there's some stuff that's already set up, so you can kind of play around with it with a little bit more meaning. But everything you see here is not that difficult to set up. It's meant to be something that the platform is there as a, once you've got it, you can really run with it, and there's not a lot of need for extra help once you've got the data in there. So let's imagine we're the CFO and we've got our planning analytics CFO workbook here. So I go into my workbook. I have very high level. I can see my gross revenue, cost of sales, marketing, and net profit. I can portray geographic information across from my data, buckets, graphs, line charts, all different kinds of items. This is all live information. I can select from I can change this dashboard if I want to investigate something. So this is not just a report. It's a dashboard with tools to drill into something quite a bit more meaningful. Taking that a step further, let's look at the strategic plan here. So in this strategic plan, we're now looking at what elements make up, what are leading and lagging indicators. These are really all leading indicators. To grow my revenue, I can see that I've got a couple of, when I mouse over growing revenue for my revenue and expenses swim lane there, I can see that a particular cost center, 4999, is not meeting budget, and that could be affecting my overall plan. So this strategic plan strategy map helps us identify from the indicators that we know about what are the actionable areas for us to really look at. So given this as an example, let's go into a little bit more detail, and let's go look at our revenue analysis now. So if I go into my revenue planning workbook, got my revenue analysis here. So this is showing me, by my different product areas, product groups, what are my sales for projections for the year, product by quarter, product by channel, channels, and I can change different measures here with the selection. So you see there's a variety of different visualizations that we've got available as well. So stacked bars and grids, there's nothing new there. Heat maps. Heat maps are kind of neat here. So here we're showing, by looking at this heat map, you can tell very quickly that our phones and retail area is where things are quite hot, forgive the pun. But now let's take a look at our income statement. And we see gaming here is pretty flat. So this is gaming here. Not really much going on with it. So, this is gaming down here. Gaming's quite low. It's flat and it's low. So let's imagine we want to improve that. We want to do something now that we've got some new information that we realize we can make some changes to this. So if I go onto my product unit forecast, let's pick on gaming. So I see I've got my different product groups along my left. I can navigate through to my different games here, different gaming PCs. So we're selling computers here. And right now we're only thinking we're going to sell 7 units, for the last half of the year. Let's say we got a big promotion on and we're going to sell 300. Now, I'm going to rather than just doing it quickly, I'll show you. All I'm doing is putting 300 and a right angle mark, and that's going to put 300 through the rest of the year. So there's a lot of little shortcut keys that can be quite handy. So maybe over in here I want to just add another 150 to that 300. So just plus 150 gives me the 450 here. So I don't need to do the math in my head. I can just kind of, as my thoughts are coming out, I can put them into the tool and keep that flow of ideas happening. So just as quickly as we did that, we've updated our forecast. Oh no, we just updated the forecast for everyone. So let's take a step back. Let's say we want to put it back to what it was. It was just 7 all the way across. So that's back as it was. What if I don't want to have anyone else look at this? I just want it to be just for me right now. Well, you see there's a sandboxing tool. For folks that are familiar with TM1, sandboxing is a feature that's been around for a while, and it's very handy for doing kind of what-if scenario analysis private to one user before committing changes to make them visible to everyone. So let's say this is where XTR 9300 has a promotion. Let's say it's XTR 9300 promotion. So I've created that sandbox. And now if I look at my sandbox listing, you notice there's a drop down here now where I can choose between base, which is really no sandbox, and this one here. Now if I go and I make this change here, let's put it back to, let's say we're going to make 300 each period. We'll bump this one by 150. Notice how we're getting a blue font color for individual numbers that are affected by those changes. So this highlights to me, those small changes that I made on these numbers. What impact does that have across our model? Now, let's go back and see. What if I look at my income statement? Well, my income statement is still showing gaming's flat, but that's probably because it's not looking at the right sandbox. So what if I flip it over to my sandbox? There we go. Their gaming just bumped up. So that bump that we gave it is visually available right there. And you see it now goes back down when I go back to my base. So this gives me an opportunity to do some what-if analysis, try a few different things out to see, does it have the impact that I want? Maybe there's 2, 3, or 10 different things I want to change across the model before I make this available for everyone else. And the challenge being there is if it's a very dynamic environment, people are looking at this information right now, if they look at it in a particular time where my changes aren't really done, they might get the wrong impression. They might make an incorrect business decision based off incomplete data. So sandboxing can be a very handy tool for that reason. But then going back to my product unit forecast, let's say this all looks good. Let's commit it. Let's commit the data. Are you sure you want to commit the data in the sandbox to become your base? Yes, I am. So it just lets me know, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I am. And now I can pop back to my income statement. And now if I'm looking here at my base, so you see there's the base. Oh, pardon me, there's the XTR sandbox. And my base is the same because I've committed my changes from the sandbox to the base. So this is kind of nice, but there's a lot of extra stuff in this grid right now. I just want to see just gaming. So there's snap command, which is a neat little feature they've added in. And this is where you kind of get to see the power of the natural language or the really quick commands that they have here. So let's say I just want the product gaming. Let's type product gaming. And it gives me a bunch of items that may be what I'm looking for. And of course, here it is. So it knows that, well, dimension product has something called gaming. Is that what I want? That's exactly what I want. So I haven't had to go through 2 or 3 different links. I just clicked snap command, typed in product gaming, and it's updated the chart to show me my gaming products in this particular visualization. So now I want to take a step back and say, well, what did we just do? Well, we found something actionable on dashboard quickly. We found that there were some challenges that we weren't going to make our numbers. And we were able to proactively react before it was too late by updating our forecast knowing what we know now. So rather than waiting till the end of the year and see, oh, okay, well, we didn't make our forecast, we can update the forecast as the world changes, as more information is available, as things happen. So let's flip back to some notes here. So that was the first demo. Now I want to talk about planning analytics in a little more general terms now. What's the value proposition? Well, it's time to value. A software as a service solution enables fast ramp up and deployment using best practices. So you're not starting from scratch. You've got something to work with. There's no big capital costs for hardware and other things like that. The low cost is low risk. So not needing to buy capital or software licenses and other infrastructure items. That helps lower the risk and make it more appealing as a current project rather than something you might want to save up for a future fiscal plan. From a cost accounting perspective, it shifts the cost from capital to operating expenses. So depending on the model, depending what your business goals and objectives are, that may be appealing for some organizations. The innovation. So it improves the speed of development due to the reduced variables in the environment. By improving the speed of development due to reduced variables in the environment, that means we've got new capabilities that can be delivered quicker, making new business decisions better. So you don't need to have resources dedicated to making sure things are up to date, running patches and that kind of thing. That's part of the service. The planning analytics team takes care of all that. It's a rich interactive workspace. And I like to think of it's the GUI that TM1 needed. So it does a lot more than just access TM1 data and present that kind of information. But TM1 in particular I think it's a great forecasting tool, and it does a lot of great planning pieces. But it's needed a rich UI to make it more user-friendly and make it improve that adoption, so more folks are comfortable with it. Along the same lines there, we've got a natural language discovery and manipulation. So users can ask questions in their language rather than SQL. Just as you saw, in a snap command, I could just say product gaming. I didn't need to have anything special there. I just said I wanted product gaming, and the planning analytics was smart enough to figure out what I meant, and it updated the visualization correctly. It organizes things into multi-tab workbooks, so dashboards, reports, templates, charts, anything else can be grouped into a logical collection. And if you find something later on that you want to reuse or share, you can pin it. So these workspaces can pull from different areas across the model to really add value, continue adding value. From a licensing perspective, it's user-based. Pricing provides you with everything you need to start. The first machine is 64 gigs of RAM. There's lots of options to improve that or change that if you really needed to, but that's going to be probably more than enough for most folks to start. So now there's a couple different apps. Workspace is what we were looking at there. So this is called Workspace design. This is how you'd build what you're seeing on the web. Now this Workspace designer environment can pull all different types of things. It can pull stuff from Cafe, it can pull stuff from TM1 Web, it can pull stuff from Cognos BI, it can pull database views from inside TM1. There's a lot of flexibility around that. But this is meant to be really that layer where bringing things together from all these different data sources and adding another layer of visualization flexibility on top of that. There's also some plugins. So a product called WebSphere Cast Iron Live. This actually has connectors for stuff like Salesforce and some ERP systems and other tools. So rather than having to reinvent the wheel, if there's an appetite for it, for pulling data in from some of these common source systems, a lot of the connectors are already available, so they could just be reused. You won't have to build connectors for stuff that's already available. From a technology perspective, this is what the planning analytics architecture really looks like. It's a cloud-hosted solution. It's got a bunch of cloud services, and it can talk to specific databases if you wanted to. And that speaks to this secure gateway client. So a challenge with a lot of cloud solutions, particularly when it comes to reporting, is how do you load data? Oftentimes they'll say, well, publish an FTP file or FTP a file every, periodically. Maybe you want to open up a port directly to your servers. I don't think that's a great idea to just open a random port. So IBM is a very slick technology to address that issue. So this secure gateway client, I won't go into too much of a detail around it, but it goes into a very secure method of creating that data connection, where it does allow planning analytics to reach in to a correctly configured ODBC data source and pull data from that. So if there's anyone that wants more information on that, please reach out to me and I can give you the details. But we've done some analysis on this, and it's significantly better than anything we've seen on the market right now for making sure it's a secure access to data and a very timely and efficient method of access. So one more tech thing to kind of talk about is there's sort of some TM1 specific updates. So this is not TM1 10.3. This is Planning Analytics is a different platform. That being said, it's built very much on the TM1 product. Some improvements they've made on that is that there's no locking of the dimension whenever you update something. Cafe itself has some improvements, so there's more formulas. You can do action buttons and publish web sheets. Yeah, so that's what's available in this version for the TM1 engine that this runs on. Now that being said, if you're running TM1 and you want to bring in some of those cubes will just run in this Planning Analytics engine, because it is TM1 with some other updates to it. So there's good support for Planning Analytics. Planning Analytics as an offering has introduced the idea of a customer advocate. So when folks sign up for Planning Analytics, there's actually someone they can reach out to who's available to help customers get the most out of the offering. So their mandate is to reach out and help and say, hey, have you tried this? Are you running into any challenges? Do you have any questions? Do you want any help with getting users in the system? So do you know about this training? Do you know about that training? So a lot of the time, you just need a helping hand to let you know where certain resources are, and that's going to be your customer advocate. And the other flip side of that is if you do have any challenges, you have any questions or something you're trying to do and you're running into challenges, your customer advocate really is your advocate. They can make sure you're getting the attention that you need to address any kind of concerns you may have. So again, with support, there's now a Planning Analytics Cloud Ops team, and they're monitoring performance, and they'll reach out to clients when alerts are triggered. So rather than having to check TM1 Top or Operations Console or a variety of other tools that we have for historically monitoring TM1 servers, there's actually a team that is monitoring all these machines to see, well, are CPUs getting pinned? Are queries taking longer than normal? A lot of the alerts that they have can help proactively deal with any kind of resource issues that may come up when systems are being used. Hosting locations. So there's more information available on the web, but here's a quick little map of different hosting locations available throughout the world. For a variety of reasons, there are hosting environments in a variety of different countries for Planning Analytics. Now, Watson Analytics currently is only hosted in Toronto, Canada. So that is something that if folks are concerned about political boundaries, that's something to be aware of. But there's a number of data centers or hosting locations throughout the world. Blueprints. So there's many blueprints already set up in Planning Analytics to be used as starting points. Now they will need tailoring for your business, but it's a lot further along than starting from scratch. So blueprints is an IBM term that's been around for a while. It's kind of a model for maybe revenue or expense planning or capital or HR or maybe consolidations or some kind of a standard business process that best practices have already been developed. So from these best practices, we've created blueprints. These blueprints are available as part of planning analytics for folks to tailor and run with. So rather than having to start everything from scratch, you've got a nice big toolbox of things to work with. If you don't use them, that's fine, but they're there to help. The cool stuff. So the visualizations are vastly improved over what you could do with TM1, in my opinion. Stuff, here's just a quick sample of some of them. Geographic information on maps, binning and categorizations, heat maps, all different types of bars and charts, and also scorecard indications. So you can just have simple metrics with different colors to identify actionable information. Scorecards themselves. So scorecards are something that you can do a lot more easily now. Indicators, upward trend, downward trend, that kind of thing. So these are some, I'd say, the cool things that are available in planning analytics that you certainly would be able to do easily with either prior versions of TM1 or some of the other products out there right now. So let's take a look. I've said a bunch of stuff about planning analytics. You've seen it once. I'm going to flip over back to the demo here, and I'll show you how easy it is to really put one of these things together. So if we go back to our welcome screen, this is where I can see all my different full books I have access to. There's a big add button right in the middle. I just click add, and I want to create something new. Yes, I do. I'm going to create a planning analytics workbook. What do I want to name it? Let's call it income statement review. I'm going to say it's going to be free form, but you can have tabs, you can have a single page. They can give you these guides here. So if you have a particular corporate template that you want to follow, or you have a certain layout that you like to stick with, the guides are going to be helpful in keeping you on track. Once you hit create, we're at a blank sheet. On the left-hand side, we've got access to any of the servers we have already connected. So for me, I've got SmartCode already connected. This is just going to be my TM1 server. So folks that are already familiar with TM1, this is just a connection to your existing TM1 server, or in this case, it's a planning analytics server. It's not limited to that. If you want to pull in other data as well, there's ways to do that. So let's go into SmartCode, and let's say we want to look at our revenue analysis. So we'll find our revenue cube. Look into the views. Find my revenue analysis. I'm just going to drag this into the main space. It's automatically created a nice little grid. You may notice that this grid looks very familiar. It's probably the same piece that's used in that dashboard that I was working with earlier. I can still expand out the different pieces. So if I want to look at PCs, now here you're noticing that I'm looking at gross revenue. Maybe I want to switch that back to my volume in units. That's fine. And I'll go down one more level into my XTR products. I'm looking at my budget for 2015. If I wanted to change to something else, I can change it to whatever I want by just selecting any of these drop downs. If I were going to create this as a final report, I can also just hide all of my dimension slicers, just like that. And this is all live data. So if I have permissions into the back server for this, if I want to change that to 24, or probably change it to 25, there you go. Just change it to 25. So the saving back to the system is effortless. I'll qualify by saying, as long as you've got the right cube design behind you, this is going to be a really nice user interface on top of that. to make sure users can go in and just kind of have that free flow of ideas as they're working through business issues. And hopefully this is going to remove some of that stumbling block of technology of they get to a point and they get stuck. So rather than having that stuck feeling where you feel like you've stopped, you just want to have that free flow of ideas as you're working through something that you want to fix. So hopefully you've seen how easy it is to create something. And this is already available. I could decide who I want to share this with. I can add additional pieces to it. I can resize things. I can duplicate this. So there's a lot of flexibility around this, and it's meant to be very clean, very seamless. So I hope you get that experience as well. So again, my name is Bob Gill. My email address is bob.gill@clearinsight.ca. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching.